bins in the front and the back of the boat. We've never had to use them yet, so we're gonna keep our fingers crossed. However, if you see us grabbing one and jumping overboard, you might want to do the same thing. Well, we're pretty good. We're very blessed. Everything works really well. We did have a little disaster with one of the fishing boats a couple of nights ago. Ran high and dry up on a reef with all the people from the cruise ship trying to go fishing in it. So that was a little disastrous. Not our boat, thank God, but that's never happened to us yet. That's very pleased with that. We're going on vacation and to the roof. Years ago in the 1800s, when they started to build out of the limestone, they put their windows very close to the rooftop so that they got ample ventilation. So they could keep those windows open. Limestone always stayed very cool in the summer, but it was also very damp in the winter. You can see the design is a very typical Bermuda design with the welcome arm staircase and everything. When a house is protected by Bermuda National Trust, you are limited on what you can do to restore that house. So the older the house is, that simply means you have to restore it exactly the way it was originally built. If it's not as old, you might get away with changing a wall here and there, but basically it has to stay the way it originally was designed. The roof and all of that. But it's scarier now during a hurricane than before we renovated, because my mother-in-law lived there almost 50 years, and I was shocked that house withstood hurricanes. She never lost her power, her windows never blew out, and it looked like one of that house that we just passed. Now it looks very modern because we did a lot of work to it, and the windows, it's just not the same. They don't build like they used to build back in the day. When we renovated and started tearing down some of the walls, we noticed there was no foundation. They used to take the limestone block and rest it on the ground. So that was it. When we were starting to dig down, you could see through the bottom of the walls, and I'm like, geez, Jamie, like, that's how they did it back in the day. And that house never took any damage during hurricanes. So it's very weird. It's one of the wealthiest families on the island. Years ago, in the early 1800s, later part of the 1700s, Bermudians were privateers. A lot of privateers in Bermuda. Do you know what they were? A privateer is a captain. You own a ship. You could go out and rob ships. You had permission from the government as long as that ship did not fly a British flag. If you robbed a ship and brought the bounty back to the island or to the king in England, you declared and gave half of that treasure to the king or to the government of Bermuda, and you were allowed to keep the other half. So they did not become known as pirates until they started to gyp the government. And when the king realized that a lot of these boats... See which one you want? Yep, that one's for sale. This one that we're going to pass on the left, the terracotta colored house, won an award for being one of the best designed homes by a Bermudian architect. Now, they've just recently sold the house and they've bought another piece of property further in this area. But that house, it's amazing. He's done a great job of making this modern house look like it has old Bermuda charm. One of the things he added was that building on the dock that has the pyramid-shaped roof. That's called a buttery, because they used to build those half underground because they discovered by putting their food and their fish and vegetables in there, it preserved it because it always stayed very cool down there. So a buttery was very important to the early homes when they started to build them. And now our architect might add that just to give it that old Bermuda charm. Normally, if you see it on the side of the house, it might be a powder room or it could be a pantry or it could be something like that. But the structure itself has a lot of history. Gray family, and they started an investment firm in Bermuda called Orbis Investments. So remember I said now banking, reinsurance, exempt companies, that's the main industry on the island.